Welcome. I am Judith Newman, and I teach Hebrew Bible at Emmanuel College. I'm here today to talk to Dr. Carmen Palmer, who is an Emmanuel alum. In fact, she's a double alum because she is both an MDiv graduate and a PhD in Biblical Studies from the Toronto School of Theology. She's also an ordained minister in the United Church. Carmen is currently an assistant professor of religious studies at Stetson University in Florida. Her areas of teaching and research are the Hebrew Bible, Dead Sea Scrolls, and texts relating to ancient Judaism, early Christianity, and the ancient Mediterranean. Her first book, a great book, is entitled Converts in the Dead Sea Scrolls, The Ger and Mutable Ethnicity, published by Brill. And Carmen has also co-published a volume addressing new methods in Dead Sea Scrolls scholarship, Revise and Repeat, New Methods and Perspectives. Aside from her impressive credentials, we're here today to talk about some of her professional service. At present, she serves as chair of the International Cooperation Initiative Committee of the Society of Biblical Literature. For those who don't know, the Society of Biblical Literature is a professional organization of biblical scholars with over 8,000 members from North America and over 100 countries around the world. It hosts academic meetings both in the United States and internationally. So I want to ask you just a few questions. And the first is, what is the ICI or ICIC?
Well, Judith, it's so great to see you. Thank you so much for having me. And hello to everyone at the Emmanuel audience. Wonderful to see you again. I'm so delighted to talk about the work of the International Cooperation Initiative Committee. This committee began as an informal endeavor in 2007 as an affiliate group of the SBL, when it was recognized that though the SBL is growing in terms of its international membership, now we have about 30 to 35% membership that is not from North America. Nevertheless, this membership felt that their biblical scholarship was not being heard and that they did not have equal access to various types of texts, resources, etc. And so the initiative was really begun to foster biblical scholarship in ICI regions, which are regions that have a lower GDP than North America and the EU and Britain, but also in particular to foster two-way dialogue, to recognize that it's not just a one-way interaction, but that actually it's a fully mutual learning opportunity between the global north and the global south, because of course both have tremendous amounts of expertise to bring to the table. So that was its initial raison d'etre. And then in 2017, after about 10 years, this sort of loose group did finalize as a formal committee of the SBL. And we have a number of activities on the go that have been growing and broadening over the years. So for example, we have a growing book repository that is available for free to those ICI members when they are present in that global region, the ICI region. They can access all sorts of scanned ebooks that are uploaded onto the book repository. We are also responsible for Bible Odyssey, which is a newer project of the SBL, fantastic blogs and put forward by reputable biblical scholars, members of the SBL. Anybody can go to BibleOdyssey.org and look through the index there and see all variety of articles in English and other languages now being translated into other languages such as Vietnamese. We have a monthly newsletter, which I know, Judith, you receive in your inbox every month. And I appreciate that you read it very much. That entails various activities of the SBL and other things that are particularly pertinent to the members of the ICI regions. For example, news about the travel grants. We hold annual travel grants, which assist members to attend SBL meetings, whether the annual meeting or the summer international meeting that's usually held either in Europe or some other global region other than North America. And we also have a blog that we initiated during the pandemic called International Pedagogies, and that has a number of guest entries from scholars from different places. Also, I usually write updates on various SBL ICI sessions. We've held a number of pedagogy related and informational related sessions over conferences at the past few SBLs, and I usually put a report after that on the blog. So we do a number of activities for 4 major regions: Asia, Africa, Eastern Europe, and Latin America. And we are constantly growing. I receive many emails, people that are interested to get to know more. So if anybody is interested to join the email list or become a member on the liaison network or just want to know more, please be in touch.
I heartily recommend it. That's a wealth of activities that you all do. How did you initially get involved with the committee?
Well, it was through another Canadian contact, Ehud Ben-Zvi, who is now emeritus at the University of Alberta. He was one of the founders of the ICI in 2007, and Ehud, through word of mouth, told me about various activities, got me to come along to some of the informational events that happened at SBL. And so for a number of years, I simply attended as an interested party, someone who wanted to know more and how I could contribute on a local level. And then in about 2018, Louis Jonker from South Africa, Stellenbosch, asked if I would like to put my name forward to be a member on the formal executive committee. At that point, the ICI had become a formal SBL committee, and I agreed. At that time, we had opened up a portfolio to sort of do some investigation and exploration with East Asian biblical scholars from regions that were not in a lower GDP, but that they still felt, due to reasons of language or other things, that their biblical scholarship was not being heard globally, or that they were having trouble accessing biblical scholarship. So I began a period of exploration in my first 3 years on the committee, and there the findings were really interesting, and that really helped us to see that the goals of the ICI can actually extend quite broadly, that really anywhere where English is not the first language, individuals can feel that there is a struggle to access websites, information, literature, right, which was one of the reasons for which the Bible Odyssey began to translate articles as well. And in addition, simply access to resources in general. Smaller institutions where they may not have interloan programs also struggle to access basic articles, books, etc. And then subsequent to those first 3 years, for my second term, I became the chair of the committee. So now I'm entering my third year, final year, as the chair of the ICI committee.
Very good. So a Canadian connection. I've known Ehud for a long time, and Louis I've just met, but they were very wise to loop you in, because I know how active you were as a student, and you continue to be very active, the SBL, in this volunteer role, which is just great. So what do you see for the future of ICI and this project?
So this is a great time for us to be having this conversation, because right now is the moment when SBL has decided to make a shift and is no longer going to be running the regional SBL meetings, which happen every spring in about 10 different regions, mostly in America, and will now instead be hosting a virtual global annual meeting in the spring instead. And this, I think, is really going to harness a lot of two-way discussion and participation from ICI regions. I think a huge piece of the ICI committee going forward will be to figure out how we can help support this conference, what it can look like, how we can foster intimate conversations that were one of the highlights of the regional meetings, but that we can still try to mimic that intimacy even in what may seem like a very large virtual global endeavor, but to still make it meaningful interactions, and to foster some kind of new online programming in that way. So that will be one key activity, I think, for the ICI committee as we go into the future. But in addition, we'll simply be continuing all of the endeavors that we've been doing already, growing the book repository, continuing to try to get the word out about the committee in general, growing the liaison network. And then one other exciting endeavor that is really in its infancy stages, that was something we were going to initiate before the pandemic but had to put on pause, was to foster sister institutions, to put together bespoke relationships between two institutions who both are interested in having some kind of two-way dialogue that concerns biblical scholarship. So there's a tremendous amount to be done as we move forward, but it's exciting to see SBL grow in a global capacity. And I think the work of the ICI will become all that more prevalent and central to the SBL as it moves forward as a committee.
Yeah, I think you're right. This is very exciting work you're doing and very important as the SBL changes and it becomes more global. You've already identified, 35% of the membership is international, and to equalize access to these resources, it's so important and so enriching, I think. So thank you very much for filling us in on this important work. And I want to thank you for taking the time to talk with me about this important project. And I wish you well with it and look forward to new developments. And I also want to say that we like to keep in touch with esteemed graduates. So we hope to see you visit us in Toronto before too long.
Thank you, Judith. I would love to do that. And I've really appreciated and enjoyed our time to talk. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.